Happy Wednesday. Oh my goodness. We are halfway through the week. I can't believe it. It's funny. I was just sitting here the other day and I looked at my husband. I said to him, we're almost at the end of June. We're almost at the end of half of the month. Can you believe it? It's crazy. Absolutely unbelievable. So I would love to know where you're from. What are you most excited about? So I'm actually streaming here from different platforms. So hello to everyone, wherever it is that you're finding yourselves. You are exactly where you need to be for today's talk as well. I'm really looking forward um, to diving into this topic of healing without memories. This is interesting because so many modalities that I have tried in the past when, as I was working through myself, I mean, no one steps into person development world because their life is perfect, right? We all move into this space because there's something that we want to address, but also because we have a passion maybe for helping other people, and maybe it's also just for your own healing journey as well. But either way, it's because there's a pain point, right? And what I learned through this whole process as I was healing and addressing my own challenges, I noticed that a lot of therapies, they need you to talk a lot about the trauma. They require you to have accurate access to memories. And there were a lot of memories that I very clearly could remember, but it was also, sorry, incredibly painful to talk about it, to go back to that every single time. And another part also is, by the fifth time that you go back to a memory, 50% of its actually has changed. And this is a scientific fact. So this is quite mind-blowing, right? So at the end of the day, as I was looking through all these ways of processing and looking at how other people's journeys are progressing and moving, and people coming to me, one, I almost have an allergic aversion to memories, if I can put it lightly, because I can't tell you how many people have come to me and try to heal something that never happened. They try to heal something that never happened. And this is quite, I mean, it's dangerous because what can happen is when a person feels pushed to formulate a certain memory based on how they feel, because how we feel is quite accurate, it's clear. You know what you feel, you know when you're sad, you know when you're upset, you know when you feel down, you know when you feel happy. That's very clear to us. But sometimes recalling memories that can help us to remember accurately why we feel the way that we do, especially if we have a negative response to something, or we can feel there's bad emotions coming up. We can feel the emotions, but we can't always tell accurately which memory is connected to the emotions. I'm sure many of you here have experienced that. I definitely absolutely have. Now, what happens with the way that we formulate memories, the way that we store memories again when we call them up, or at least try to? Because when you feel an emotion and you're working on, say, a trauma, and you call up this emotion and you feel it now. So now what we can do is, if we don't have a clear memory of what had happened because the hippocampus didn't file the memory, it didn't integrate the memory correctly because of the spike of cortisol, and the amygdala and the frontal cortex that cannot now communicate correctly to the hippocampus, because the hippocampus is like, well, I also don't know what the memory is, but we feel bad, right? So this is really what's happening. And we assume that because we feel maybe sad, oh, maybe let me think, some memories that we can relate to times when we were sad. So now we have these pockets of memories and flashes coming forward. Then we try to analyze another feeling that comes with the sadness. Now we have more pockets of feelings, of sensations coming forward. And before we know it, we formulated, potentially we formulated a memory, but it's a memory that's not accurate. It's a memory that's now been pieced together. Because normally, when we are in a state of distress and we work with someone or a therapist, and they keep asking questions, they throw in questions at you, they're trying to figure out, but if you feel this and maybe that happened, maybe through suggestions, even. I have seen how therapists would throw suggestions at clients, trying to unravel and understand where these emotions and these incidents come from. And through these suggestions, a client can actually formulate incorrect memories based on how they're feeling. And this can set forward a very painful path, because imagine now you're trying to go to a memory and it never happened, but you assume it did, because some of the emotions that you feel, you can assume would feel relevant, relatively close to that. Now, the other problem also with memories is that I've seen in my research, I don't know how many of you here are new, how much you know about my research. I wrote this big book called Metaphysical Anatomy after interviewing 6,500 people, and I learned a lot, 722 medical ailments and the suppressed emotions behind that. And let me tell you, one thing that I also learned is that there's a lot of memories that can be passed down from your mother and your father and your ancestors, especially memories from the third generation back, meaning your mother's mother or your father's mother or your father's father's father. Because one thing that I learned and see that is, if there's something in your life that you're trying to address and it doesn't resolve, and sometimes there's memories coming up, you're like, where is this coming from? It doesn't even feel like it's mine, but we accept it as ours. These are often very, very good examples of how memories can come up, that it's part of your genetic makeup because it's imprinted, it's been passed down to you, but you yourself cannot relate to it in your life because it doesn't really belong to you. But funnily enough, it's part of your blueprint. So you see the incohesion, the defragmentation that it can cause in a person's identity and in a person's sense of self. Now I understand this sounds like, oh my God, this gets quite complicated, but that's okay. I mean, I go a lot into this in math level 3, but even just in metaphysical anatomy technique level 1, we already move into this because this is really important. So I was sitting there, I was thinking, how can we heal without needing memories? How can we heal without needing to talk about the trauma? How can we heal without even clearly knowing what had happened? Even though you don't have specific memories, but there's also a moment where you're like, I don't even know what happened. Something happened, but it's this big blank. Some people have half a blank where they have sort of some memories. They can geographically tell you where they were, but the details of it is completely absent. So we have different types of memories as well. Now here I'm talking about the memory that a person, halfway have access to, and then the memories that is just completely absent. The only thing that you feel is how you're feeling in that moment. And a lot of people even tell me, well, I can't even feel my feelings, I'm completely disassociated. Well, if you ask the person the right question, they can get into the emotions like that. So that's not even a problem. There's I think there's 6 forms of disassociation that we can have in terms of how we perceive our reality after trauma. So this also just adds and exacerbates loss of memories as well, right? So this just even adds more to a person feeling a loss of identity and a loss of self. Now, how do we work through this? How do we work around this? And this is where I was working so hard for all these years on this metaphysical anatomy level 1 technique that really helps a person to move through whatever symptoms they're feeling, whatever traumas they're feeling, whatever emotions they're feeling, whatever numbness they're feeling, even if it's an inner dialogue, even if it's an ailment, it doesn't matter. I've designed this process so that it can take a person exactly where they are at and elevate them to where it is that they want to be. And two processes needs to take place in order for healing to be permanent and to be very deep and successful. We have what's called the cognitive conscious mind, where we have our cognitive thoughts and ideas. Then we also have the body's consciousness. This is completely separate and it functions completely different to the cognitive mind. Now I'm talking about the body's needs. So consciously, cognitively, I mean, this is where we can intellectualize things. We can get involved with debates. There's a lot of things that we can control. I'm talking a part of the biology of the body that we cannot control. So you see the split. So the body has its own process. It has its own needs and desires. I want to eat, drink. I'm cold. I'm hungry. I want to reproduce. I want safety. I want protection, instinctive responses. All this fires off and functions completely independent of your ability to control it. You can't control that. This is something that's completely spontaneous. It's programmed into you. And this is where I draw the split, because this is very important. A lot of people go, okay, well, if I just, heal beliefs, and if I just pull or delete that belief, then all of this is going to, you know, fall apart and, work out. Well, no, it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. Pulling a belief is like dealing with a symptom. It's like you have this tree with 1,000 branches. Imagine that belief is a branch, one of 1,000 branches. Now you have 999 to go. you know? So one thing that I learned is that we need to look at what is our negative beliefs? What is the emotions that we feel? And what is the instinctive responses that the body is firing on that spontaneously took place in the past of a memory that you cannot remember? This is the beauty of Metaphysical Anatomy Level 1 technique, because this is where I teach people exactly how to connect to these positive, not positive thoughts, but much more so the positive potential resource that if you did have that, then this would not have been traumatic for you. Then that would not have been traumatic for you. And so what we can do in math that's so powerful, these resources that was absent, meaning the reason why a certain event became traumatic for you in the first place. Now, I acknowledge there's natural disasters where it doesn't necessarily matter what you had, it still would have been traumatic, and I understand that. But even for that, math level 1 is fantastic, because what I've learned now how to do is how to combine and work with bilateral processing, where we actually activate the left and the right hemisphere. And by doing so, and then at the same time, also we work with breath work, and we also work with emotional release in the biology of the body. And we also reset the instinctive responses, because the instinctive responses also become stuck. Hence why your nervous system doesn't regulate. Your nervous system will not regulate if it doesn't feel safe. If you don't feel safe, you will not heal. I repeat, if you don't feel safe, you will not heal. Period. So if the process that you are going through, you don't feel comfortable, you don't feel safe in that, you can do as many modalities as you want. It's not going to work. And so what MAT is designed to do is to ease the nervous system. It's to ease the body. It's to ease the cognitive mind. And then it also helps through the bilateral processing. We integrate the trauma that is not integrated because the hippocampus cannot store the traumatic memory correctly because of the cortisol that was released. We do need cortisol, but in this case, I'm talking about excessive. And so what happens is the memory is stored in a fragmented way, which causes a person to feel that the memory is still traumatic. That is why people still feel deeply triggered. And this is now almost borderline onto where we can look at complex trauma, such as post-traumatic stress disorder, that can start to develop as well. So if you combine a very severe traumatic event with someone who has disorganized attachment, that person is much more likely to actually develop post-traumatic stress disorder. You see, so there's different elements that also needs to be looked at, different questions that also needs to be asked. And when you know and understand how to work through this, this is incredibly powerful recipe for the body to just go, click, I get it, I'm safe. Now I understand what needs to happen. Now I know what we need to integrate. And imagine actually integrating that memory in a non-traumatic way without still needing to remember the memory. The body releases the stress, the nervous system resets itself, and the memory now becomes just a memory. And your whole body and your nervous system resets back to a state of harmony. That's what metaphysical anatomy technique is. It's incredibly powerful. It's beyond powerful. And it's just a 2-day workshop. And you need no prior in prior requisites in order to come and to join that. And then for anyone who loves the technique, when you start to see the power of it, mat level 2, for example, is 5 days. There we go even deeper. We work with different regions of parts of the brain as well. You'll learn how to work with post-traumatic stress disorder, with cancer, how to work with complex trauma, how to work with severe emotional trauma and trauma recovery, pain, and we go even deeper into that, even deeper into addictions as well. We have a very high success rate working with addictions and with pain as well. Even though these two are one of the most complex traumas that a person can have. I mean, when I say traumas, I mean the underlying core trauma that's causing a person to have chronic pain or to struggle with addictions as well. Because that sometimes for a lot of people can be quite hard to pinpoint and to find as well. You'll learn very deeply also how to work with grief and bereavement. Because grief and bereavement is now a whole nother category as well. Because someone who grieves to the point where it's becoming a trauma, now you're dealing with secondary trauma such as isolation trauma, right? You're dealing now also with a different form of addiction. Not that grieving is an addiction, but the same part for people who are addicts. The same part of the brain for people who chronically grieve is activated and affected. Did you know that? That's why it can become so hard often to break these cycles. So the more you know and understand the biology of the brain, how you understanding how the body stores trauma, understanding how the body needs to shift trauma, and understanding also how to get the body into a state where it feels safe to shift the trauma in the first place. I mean, you can have all the fireworks in your pocket, but if that body doesn't feel safe, it's just going to sit there and it's not going to budge. You can do whatever you want. Now, also what's a lot of fun is, and we're not going to be doing this for the whole year, but because there's so many countries also going through this financial crisis in the economy, if you bring two friends with you, then you can come for free. So this is a wonderful opportunity to really dive deeply into this, because Matt's also accredited by a CPD accredited, IICT, IPHM, CTAA, CMA, and also ICAHP. So you can become a certified practitioner through us, or you can just do this for yourself and become your own best practitioner. Because the thing that so many people love about metaphysical anatomy technique is that you can do this work on yourself. You can literally follow your healing sheet and you can help yourself right there on the spot. And what's more powerful about MAT is that the process now has been developed, and I'm actually releasing this new version of MAT in July. It's a brand new version. What's more powerful about this technique also is that you can actually address multiple problems in one session. So where a person might have one issue for 1 hour, now you can most likely actually go, address 2 to 3 challenges in 1 hour. That's a lot. And also, what's more powerful about this technique, that is probably my favorite, is that whatever positive belief you would like to instill, you can instill that belief in that session, in that moment, in real time, live. You walk away from that session feeling that positive belief that you want to feel and have. Absolutely, absolutely incredible. It's life changing, absolutely life changing. So, this is something that, yeah, I've been working very many years on this, and I am absolutely thrilled to finally release this and to help the neuroplasticity, help the mind to rewire, reset, rebuild. We all know that's now possible, and through you don't have to go through this 21 days of habits and repatterning, and then it's this and then it's that. No, one session and that's it. So this is one of the really powerful places and points that I absolutely love metaphysical anatomy. I cannot speak highly enough of it. So I just would love now to also do a healing meditation for those of you who are still here with me. And I mean, when we do the replay, then you'll also be able to do that. I don't see any questions quite yet, which is okay. Okay. So that's what's going to be happening in July. That's Metaphysical Anatomy Level 1 with all these beautiful, powerful incorporated changes that's going to be coming in. I'm so excited. And then we have the mat level 2 also coming up in August. That's 5 days. And then the mat level 3 healing retreat that's live in Bali, in person here in Bali. So I cannot wait for it. It's absolutely fantastic. So let's have a look here. I'm just making sure I'm not missing any questions. And for those of you who are on Zoom, if you're not on the other platforms, you can also jump in the Q&A section. If you want to ask a question there, I will happily answer it for you. Okay, so now I would love for you to just take a nice deep breath. And now I invite you to just start by focusing on your breath. Just noticing as you're inhaling and exhaling. And now, see if you can become so still and quiet within yourself that you can feel your heart beat. This is a very fun and gentle way of becoming fully present back into the body in a way that is comfortable and safe. And now I invite you, wherever it is that you're finding yourself in an open space. And in that open space, you're finding this big waterfall. And stepping underneath that waterfall with that healing water, feeling how it's this lukewarm, healing water flowing from your head, down your body, out your face. Releasing stress, fatigue, overwhelm, maybe discomfort or pain that you might have. And also just acknowledging the difference between your identity and other people's stress. And now, I invite you to just become aware of your emotions. Or maybe you just have discomfort right now. Notice this emotion that you might feel challenged with, or the discomfort that you have. Where in your body do you feel that right now? And notice wherever it is that you are observing and feeling it in your body right now, bringing your full focus and awareness to that area. And use your imagination and pretend that that area can speak right now. And if it could, what would it say? Just spontaneously, just 1, 2, 3, boom. What's the message? And try to observe this message from a non-judgmental way, for perspective. And notice, does this message ask you or require you to take action? Think differently? Feel differently? Do something maybe differently? And don't worry about memories. We're not going to be worrying about that. If you have some coming up, then that's okay. Acknowledge them. But this is more about the message. And observe maybe if an action is required or if something is needed from you. Do you feel that there's something that you feel ready to do about it or to take action? What do you feel is required from you in order for this stress or this discomfort or this emotion to be alleviated? And now, allowing that now to be healed and released, whatever needs to be healed and released right now. Allowing that waterfall, that healing waterfall now to come back over you, flowing through every single cell in your body. And while that healing waterfall is just flowing over you, healing every single cell in your body, I'm going to affirm positive affirmations here for you. And all that you have to do is listen to my voice. I am worthy of healing and happiness. I release the past and I embrace the present with open arms. Every day, I grow stronger and more resilient. I am free from the weight of my past experiences. I allow myself to heal and let go. I choose peace over perfection and love over fear. I am transforming into my best self, one step at a time. My heart is open to new and healthy experiences. I let go of what I can no longer change, and I focus on what I can change. I am the creator of my own happiness and peace. With every breath that I breathe, I release anxiety and I invite calmness. I trust the journey even when the path is unclear. I am surrounded by love, and everything is balanced within. I deserve to move forward with grace and joy. I am letting go of yesterday, and I am investing in today. I am capable of overcoming any challenges that come my way. I welcome gentle change, and I'm ready for gentle growth. I'm worthy of love, and I release all negative attachments. Every day brings a new opportunity for peace and renewal. And just finding yourself there still under that waterfall, taking a nice deep breath. Noticing as you're exhaling, gently and slowly feeling yourself coming back into the present moment. You can even bring the waterfall with you if you want. Starting to feel the surface beneath your body again. Bringing your full focus and awareness to the bottom of your feet. And fully back into the body, opening your eyes, and welcome back. And there you have it. Very good.